What's up you guys, it's 2Bricks and I'm so excited to be bringing you this video, which is the kind of linchpin or the, I don't know, the centerpiece of my whole Harry Potter building series that I'm doing. And you know, this is going to serve as the main focal point, conversation starter piece of the whole series. Of course it is the Great Hall from the Harry Potter series. I mean, duh, you guys know that. And it's actually part one. I'll be showing you guys part two when it comes out later on, but this is the Great Hall itself. And as you guys know, if you're fans of the movies and you've studied the, you know, the architecture and everything, there's a second set of windows underneath here, and the Great Hall actually extends down a little bit lower, and that is where the kitchens are, where all the food for the feast and such is prepared. So that's going to be coming in a separate video and is going to be a separate set. And the reason that I did that is because I wanted the Great Hall itself to be a affordable dollhouse style playset that you can get and you can use to display just a ton of your Harry Potter figures and have it be kind of you know, the focal point of your Lego Harry Potter collection. So yeah, we're going to take a look at the interior, the exterior, all the details, all the little features and things that this model has to offer. Don't forget, of course, down in the description you can check out the Rebrickable link where you can see you know, how to purchase the instructions, how to get the parts. You can compare which parts you have by adding your own Harry Potter sets, and you can see, you know, which pieces you need or don't need and all that good stuff. It's a really, really flexible and versatile platform. So yeah, so don't forget to check that out if you guys are interested in getting this model for yourself. So without further ado, we're going to jump in and take a look, and later on in the video I'll be showing you guys how to handle it if you do end up purchasing and building it. There's some important things to remember, keep in mind as to how to actually manage all of this, because I don't know if it's coming across on camera, but it is a very large model. I mean, it's not gigantic. It's if you guys can imagine two, or I guess maybe 2.5 of Lego's modular buildings stacked side to side. That's roughly the volume of what you're getting here. So yeah, I should actually probably count the exact stud count on that because so you guys can get a better sense of it. But it's a big model. So yeah, yeah. So I've rambled on enough. Let's just take a look at this beast of a model. All right, you guys. So as usual, we're going to start off with an overview of the outside and some little scale comparisons, so you get an idea of how big this thing is. So here is Harry Potter from the latest collectible minifigure series. This is kind of how he stacks up, and of course the tower extends up much taller than you can see right there. And then if we take a look at the Boathouse, which I built, and I'll place it right up so it's touching the side of the building. You can see there the height of that. So if any of you guys did end up purchasing the Boathouse, it actually looks pretty large in comparison to this model, but once the kitchens are on underneath, and then I'm planning to have the Chamber of Secrets underneath that as a separate, again, an additional thing that you can stack. Once all that's in place, this will absolutely dominate over the size of this, which will be, you know, down at the bottom and a little bit further away. So I don't see that really being an issue if you guys are concerned about the scale of this. For those of you who don't know, this is the Boathouse as it was represented in the final Harry Potter movie, where it got a design overhaul. You guys are maybe used to seeing the stone version, which was a lot smaller and a lot more basic looking, but anywho, yeah, I went with this version because I really like it. So yeah, that's the kind of general idea for the size here. So let's get Harry out of the way, and let's just kind of spin it around and take a look at it. So obviously, you know, up here at the front we have this large window, and I really like the window technique that I was able to use for this, where I'm stacking up different plates. So I'm stacking, let's see here, sideways. We have, you know, dark tan plates with the what do you call it? The trans clear plates, so it lets a lot of light through. And you guys will see when I open it up and I shine some light behind there, it really illuminates and it catches the light in a really, really nice way. So that's something that's really cool about, you know, doing it this way. These windows are nice, and I like the overall look that they give for certain things. Like that you can see, I use them up at the front here. But for the specific look of these Great Hall windows with the glazed look that they have with the stained glass kind of feel of it, I really wanted to do something special. So I went with these, and you know, I think it worked out really well. So obviously, like architectural details here, we have the correct number of windows represented up here in the roof. These are actually windows, they do open. There is a shot in, I believe it is the first movie, where we see Hedwig, or an owl, flying through here to deliver the post, and that drops right into the main Great Hall. So they are actually functional windows. They're not just there for decoration. I like that I was able to get the correct number as well of the these little kind of peaks, and then also these I forget the name of these crenellations. Yeah, the little castle bits that archers would typically hide behind in medieval times. But even on the actual Hogwarts Great Hall model, I don't believe these are meant to be functional crenellations. I don't think there's enough space back here for someone to stand. I believe these are supposed to be decorative. So my one is accurate in that sense. Again, same goes for the accurate number of windows down here. There are 9. And then on the other side, there are 8 because there's a chimney that cuts down the middle of where one of these should be. So we'll spin it around and we'll start taking a look and kind of heading towards that side. And we'll get back to the front in a little bit. I know I didn't show you guys the front yet. So there's a large stained glass window here. And it's kind of difficult to get a good angle on it to see it, but it's made up of 2 different colors of glass. And again, when we get on the inside, I'll shine some light through here and you can see that a little bit better. But there's also some little bits of color in here to just represent the different Hogwarts houses, so each of the house colors, just in the corners to give it a little bit more of a special feel. And then up here we just have the crenellations continuing around, which are represented on here, and then this nice little tiled roof section. And yeah, I like how the bottom is finished off with the sloped in, kind of support column structure here. I feel like that looks pretty cool. Obviously you can see here there's a couple of these hinge plates. You can see those sticking out. It's a dead giveaway that this wall opens up, which I'll show you again in a little bit also. And then moving around to the other side, here's the chimney that I mentioned, and then all the windows outside of that. This section is open because there's going to be a corridor that eventually connects to this, and that corridor leads off to the grand staircase tower, with all the moving staircases and everything. That's this way, so that's what goes there. But then the windows are represented here as well, the same way. And I also like how I did the little bit of tiling sort of detail on the roof. Previously in models that or renders that I had uploaded of the digital model, this roof was completely flat. But when it actually came to putting the physical model together, there just wasn't enough strength. This is now super nice and strong, but previously with just the flat plates, there wasn't enough support. So I added in these extra strips of support down the middle here to make sure that it's nice and solid. And then I just gave a few little bits of random extra detail just to kind of blend it a little bit better so it's not just, 2 strips running right across the center. And then at the top here, we have this tall tower, which of course, true Harry Potter fans will know that when people like to point out mistakes in the design of Hogwarts, people often say this stone tower would not be supported by the roof, and the designers of the Hogwarts Castle knew that, so they made this a wooden tower. And so you can actually see in the physical models, it is a different color to the rest of the castle because it's made of wood. And I really like the shaping that I was able to get here with the little kind of, these little arched roof bits that sort of slope around the top of the windows there, and I got the appropriate amount of windows, and also the style windows is different here in this tower versus the ones on the end, which are just very, very simple kind of cut in sections there. But here I have the kind of grates to represent these little slats that actually exist in that tower there. So yeah, I like how that looks. And then coming back around to the front, let me just put the camera down. We have the representation for the clock, which I used it was in the Hogwarts Express set. There's a stickered piece that comes with that, and that represents a clock face, and I really liked the look of that, so I put it on here. And in the instructions, I tell you which sticker sheet you need to get in order to grab that sticker, or if you have it, obviously, if you've got the Hogwarts Express yourself, then you have that already and no need. Or of course, you could leave it blank. I think the hand being a separate piece here, even if you left that, say, just as a white piece or something different, and you put the hand on the front, I think you would get that it's a clock. But I like it with the face. It gives it a nice level of detail. So I think that's cool. And then yeah, this little entrance courtyard here, or entrance hall, has these 2 large opening doors, which you can see. I'll take this off in a little bit, and you can get a better look inside of there. But yeah, these are kind of my solution to the Great Hall dilemma, which some of you guys might know that in the initial movies for Harry Potter, this front section was designed very, very differently, and it had this like large square building basically that stuck out of the front of here with two big windows in it, and it had a staircase that came up to the level of the Great Hall, because, as you know, this sits on top of the kitchens, right? So in the movies, they changed it where this was level with the ground, and students could just run straight out of the hall into the courtyard. And of course, in physical reality, that doesn't work. So I kind of came up with this compromise where I used these large black doors to have the main entranceway, and it kind of looks the way that the doors do in the movies when the kids exit here. But on the courtyard part, I have stairs that go down into the main courtyard, and then there's this kind of arched detail that protrudes up here a little bit, and it gives you the whole kind of look of the front of the Hogwarts, or the Great Hall. Kind of completes it the way that you'd expect it to be seen. So you'll get to see that in the next video, but basically, yeah, this is the solo version of this, where I just wanted to have doors that are kind of unencumbered, and if you want to have figures approach in here and just go into the hole, you can just do that. So yeah, I think that works really, really well. And then, you know, just checking out the roof detail here, I really like the scale of the spires next to one another. I think they all work really, really well, and just love looking down here and seeing all those rows of little caps and little windows and little tiny, you know, rooftop things in there. So I think that looks really great. So yeah, let's just start taking things off and take a look inside this thing. Okay, so first of all, we can take off this front section here, and it's just attached with a couple of Technic pins. And so this whole front entrance build is its own thing. And the reason that I want to do that is because there's a nice bit of detail that exists out in the front section here, the entrance hallway of the Great Hall, and I wanted to be able to show you guys that and have that be represented in the model. There's a lot of great little features and details in here, so just having this large open space and then being able to plug this in, I think, is a great way to access that space. So also, that's not the only thing that can move on this. The roof comes off, and so let me just show you guys the appropriate way to handle that. So the roof stops right here, and then it comes around the sides, and it has this line of tiles here that you can kind of make out if you look at it closely. So all you want to do is grab the roof here right underneath these two towers, and you can just press on it and lift off, and it comes off really easily. There's a Technic structure that runs right the way through here that comes right into the edges and sort of, you know, is built into the model. So that's something that you can do really, really easily. What you don't want to do, sorry, I'm just adjusting my angle here. What you don't want to do is grab it by these towers, because even though they are sturdily built, there's a chance that I actually did break a Technic half pin, which is attached under here. I actually did break one of these because I was handling it by the towers too much, and then this piece, there was too much stress on it, and then that piece ended up breaking. So to avoid that, you're going to want to just press up against the actual walls themselves. They're very, very strong, and you can just, you know, squeeze that no problem and put the thing on and take it off. So that's how you do that. So then getting this out of the way, I'm just going to put this on the ground really quick. You can see here also that like I mentioned before, the front wall opens up. So that's just attached with a clip down in here and a little clip and bar piece. And then this swings right the way open, and you can see the scene inside here, which is pretty exciting. And then it goes all the way out to 180 degrees. So you can really, really, really get your hands in here and play. And, you know, this thing just extends out to, you know, all the way open. And I think that works out really, really well. And you can put the roof back on top as well if you want to appreciate the full grandeur and look of the Great Hall. Let me just place that back on here right now for you. So you can see that goes back on there. No problemo. So yeah, I'll give you guys better views, and we'll look at this whole scene that I set up in here, and I'll show you what it looks like with and without the roof on. So there's a lot to appreciate in there. But yeah, that's the kind of the way that you want to take this apart and handle it if you do so. All right, so coming back out to the front here, you can kind of see, and you can see a little bit of what I was talking about with how much light comes through these windows back here. You know, you can really, really make out the objects back here, and there's no light behind this right now. It's just the table color, but it's already coming through pretty strongly, so I like that a lot. So yeah, up here in the front, we have a lot of details from different movies, and I kind of try to combine them all to create my ultimate version of the entrance courtyard. So let me just adjust my angle here. So we have the knight statues. There's 4 of them, and they're all unique brick-built knights. And those are, of course, from the 8th movie, where the Battle of Hogwarts is happening, and McGonagall calls the Stone Guardians to life, and they go out and fight against, Voldemort's forces. So I had to get those in there, and each one has a unique weapon. So he's got a sword, there's a shield for this guy back here, a battle axe, and a spear for the guy up on the top. So let me just try to, there you go. And I really like how these knights came out. Sorry, keep adjusting this camera angle. I really like how these came out for, being so simple as little brick-built figures. But I did want them to be able to come away and be played with as, actual figures. And I know that knights can be tricky to get a hold of as minifigures, and I think that having them be brick-built, well, it actually serves 2 purposes. For my design, I wanted to have a single stud depth in here for those knights to be standing. And so minifigures typically, especially ones with like headgear and stuff, and armor plating need a little bit more space than that. So I wanted to create these because they're nice and flat. But then, yeah, also just to be able to have them be relatively easy for you guys to get a hold of, because, like I said, those can be a little pricey. So then we have the main door here that leads into the Great Hall, which of course can't open. Right now you can see the back of Trelawney going in to refill her tea. I'll show you that from the other side. And then we have these 2 little stone pillars here that have the fire in them that just kind of lights up the hallway. These are obviously super scaled down representations of that. And, I did that because I just wanted to have a representation of that idea in there without taking up half the hallway for big old columns of flames. But yeah, I think when you place a figure in here, here's that same Harry from the collectible minifig series. I think it scales decently well. They should be a little shorter than a figure, and I think, especially when you get the short legs, first year figures in there, I think it looks really nice. All right, and I just adjusted my lighting setup a little bit here so you could see a little bit better detail of what the interior of this looks like. And then, yeah, off to the side here, we have my brick-built representation of the Architect of Hogwarts statue, and he just stands on this little stone plaque thing, or plinth, I think that's the name of that thing. And it has a very simple representation for the 4 house animals at the bottom. And then, yeah, you have just the statue in here. And I did create this brick-built statue as a kind of optional add-on feature, because if you have the official figure that came with the Advent calendar, you can see here that he goes ahead and just does the same exact job. I'm not sure, I'll leave it up to you guys which one you prefer, but, if you happen to have this and you don't want to spend the extra parts budget to get my brick-built version and then have 2 of them, then there's really no need for you to do that. But I think side by side, you can see they scale really well next to each other, and I think that as a blocky kind of basic representation, I think I captured it all right. He's got the beard, he's got the blueprints and the tiny model of Hogwarts, and his hat. So that's really all you need out of a figure like this. But yeah, so you do have the option there either way, and that will be included as a separate link, which will be in my Rubricable page as well, which will just be labeled as, Architect of Hogwarts statue add-on or something to that effect. So yeah, then when we go up a little bit here and we take a look at the higher up kind of detail here, you can see that I have a representation of the educational decrees from Dolores Umbridge, and those go all the way up, and then I transitioned into 1x1 tiles at the very top. Actually, let me show you that from up above. There you go, get a better look at it this way. Because I wanted to kind of show this vanishing perspective where these go ridiculously high, right, up and up and up. So I just wanted to put those up there to give you the sense that they continue up really, really high. So that's that. And then, of course, we just have a simple, just that archway that leads to the corridor I was mentioning that will eventually take you on through to the rest of the castle. So what I really like about this is, so far, we have a situation where the minifigs can, sorry, it's a little bit finicky to get this on, but the minifigs can get into the castle from the front doors and go right the way through, and then through this door here and into either into the hall itself or off to the rest of the castle down this way. So there's nothing that exists about this model that requires your imagination for as far as like students' ability or figures' ability to access different parts of the castle. So I always like to really strive for that if I can, to make the layout make sense for the figures, because that's important to me. So now I'm gonna take a look at what's inside here. All right, guys, so here is the main event. Obviously, the scene that you want to see when you think of the Great Hall. Everyone packed in for their feast and just ready to hear Dumbledore say his start of term speech. And you have the ghosts flying around up on the top here. You have the floating candles. There's the collector for the house points up here, which right now has all the houses even, but you can switch around the order of those plates on top there, and you can make one house be in the lead versus the other. Tons of little details in here with, we have the little statues of each of the house animals that run along these columns. And of course, those are also reflected on here as well. And I actually also have a separate additional add-on piece where there's this kind of hanging, again, like an oil pan that has fire in it, and it hangs off of each one of these statues. And I left those off on this particular iteration of the model because they interfere a little bit with the figures, so it's kind of annoying. You have to sort of pose figures around where those are. But they're a very simple design and very effective, and I'll show you, pull one in right now. It's just this, 3 pieces, and it's something that's designed to just plug in to the bottom of, there's an open stud on the bottom of these, and it just, I lost the fire, but that's the idea. It plugs in there, and the flame would be burning. So that's like the really accurate look to how it is, in the actual set. Can't get the fire in there right now. That's a really great look, and just in terms of functionality for play, I just wanted that to be optional because, it's something that, like I said, it kind of gets in the way a little bit. So now that those are off, that is the look. But I really like how I have these stone columns extending up out of the tops of the statues. That's kind of how it is in the real thing, and then blending into these wooden support pillars, which all together I think look really, really nice. And then those are just supported up at the top here using these pretty unique pieces that plug into the top of that and keep it nice and secure. So when you're building these, these windows and everything, it's pretty fragile until you start to get up to this level here and you start to really lock everything together. And when you're building it initially, you might be concerned like, oh, is this going to be a really wobbly model? But you guys know, Tubrix doesn't operate like that. So it's something that you just have to kind of be patient with as you're assembling it. But once it's all locked together, it's super nice and sturdy. So no problems there. So yeah, I kept the representation as well for the floating candles. Initially, I had designed those to be coming down off of the roof. The problem was when you took the roof off, those extended down below the surface. So that was something that was bugging me, that you would be able to take the roof off, but you couldn't really place it down easily. So I changed it to where these are now hanging off of these pillars, and that works out just fine, I think. And I really like the look of having these ghosts floating above the whole scene here. I think that looks really cool. So in the back here we have the fireplace, and I used the stickered piece from the Room of Requirement set, and that's actually where I got these stickers down here as well for these educational decrees. I really want to reuse as many stickered elements and specialized parts from those official sets as possible, because I assume a lot of you guys have those sets already, and I want to be able to give you the option to include those amongst this if that's something that you choose to do. So yeah, going forward, I'll be trying to do that even more. So that's something that's really important to me. So yeah, looking at all of these students down here, I have a bunch of custom ones, and I have all the different styles of uniforms. Some of the students have brought their owls to the feast, which cannot be sanitary, but whatever. Hogwarts is a magical place, and they don't care about that kind of thing. And then yeah, we have, like I said, Trelawney just came down to refill her teacup, not realizing that all of the students were gathered, and she's probably quite surprised to see everyone in the hall. So you have a representation for the staff table down here, which can seat, obviously a ton of staff as well. You have 4 or 5 down at the back, and then you can have people placed on the stage here in front. Someone's lost their niffler. And then, yeah, Dumbledore's getting ready to give his start of term speech here with his lovely owl lectern that has the candle build coming off of it. So Dumbledore can remind people to turn on the light, and do his little magic trick. And yeah, I think this is another build that turned out really nicely, and is just, you know, very, very simple, a handful of pieces, but really, really shows what it's supposed to be, especially with these gold feather pieces, which are a little bit rare, but I think definitely worth it for the look that they give you there. So I think that worked out really, really well. So without that, let me just give you a view here of the staff tables. Like I said, I'll remove a couple of these figures here so you can just see how that looks. And of course, there's room for old Rubius Hagrid to stand there down at the end. We've got Fawkes surveying the scene as well. And then, oh yeah, like I was mentioning, that the bay window back here with there's green up here for Slytherin. I can kind of turn this around a little bit more, give you a little bit better view. So we have red in the opposite corner, obviously, for Gryffindor. Hufflepuff and Ravenclaw represented with the yellow and the blue as well. And you can see here, just because these are the larger bricks, they just let in a ton of light, and this really, really just floods the scene with light, and it looks really nice. So I'm a big fan of how that turned out. So yeah, here's a look down from above, and really, really happy with how that turned out. I would have loved to get 4 tables in here, but obviously size is a factor for a model like this, and I do want to have it be reasonable for you guys to have this and display it in your home. So I think having the 2 rows of tables with 4 rows of seats sells that idea well enough, at least for my eyes. If I let my eyes go blurry, I don't mind it. And I think that, you know, this is the Great Hall look that you want to have, and I think that it's pulling it off pretty well. So yeah, I mean, I'll let you guys be the judge, but I'm satisfied with that. So let me take all of this out, and I'll just give you guys a look at the hall without all the figures, and you can kind of take in the space for yourself. All right, you guys, so here's everybody removed from the hall, and you can see them off to the side here. Now, when I started this project, I said that I wanted this to have the ability to, you know, be a piece that would display all of your awesome Harry Potter figures and things that you love and you want to, you know, be able to show off. So there are 38 minifigures, as well as about, I think, 6 or 7 animals and different accessories just piled up here that were just in the hole, and I wasn't really trying to stuff it as fully as it could possibly be stuffed. So you guys can get an idea for, you know, how much space you have here to play with. So I think that works out really, really well. And with the candles, I only went ahead and put candles on this side of the hole because I felt like they're close enough to the middle that it felt like, you know, they're in the middle. Obviously, these candle builds are really, really simple. It's 4 pieces, including the clip to attach them. It's just a transparent bar there with the orange stud and the new candle piece holding onto it. So that's something that's really simple. And, you know, I want this hole to be something that's really customizable, so you can have the Hogwarts house banners hanging off of these. And I'll show you, actually have a separate build for those that'll be coming up in a later video, where I kind of have an accessory pack for ways to customize the hole. So, you know, I'll show you guys all that stuff later. And I went ahead and attached the little fire pans back on here as well. I put them only on every second gargoyle, even though in the movies technically they're on every single one, but it started to feel a little busy to me with just so many fire elements, and so I just kind of knocked it down to half. So here you can see on every second statue. So I think that feels really good. Let me pop the roof back on and give you a look at the whole interior space with the roof as well. All right, so the roof is back on, and with the additional contrast of, you know, the shadow that the roof provides, I think you can really see how much those windows pop. So I really, really, really like that about it. But yeah, let's just take a look down in here, and you can see the representation I have of the night sky up there on the ceiling. And I don't think I've ever seen a representation of that yet on a Hogwarts Lego build. So I don't know if that's a first or not, but it was something that I was really excited to be able to include. So it's just a bunch of different blue shades of blue plates stacked up in between the beams, and then it kind of tapers off towards the edges. And I added a couple of, you know, white studs in there for stars. If you want it to be daytime, obviously you can leave the stars out. And I tried to make it where the colors of blue that I'm choosing are, you know, subtle enough that you could imagine them to be day or night. You could either have a cloudy night, or you could imagine those to be kind of stars or galaxies, or, you know, clusters of whatever up in the sky that they have, like particularly in the Prisoner of Azkaban. You can see all these kind of swirling galaxies and stars up there, and so that's something that's really cool. So yeah, I think, you know, what's cool about that is that it not only does it help to sell the whole Great Hall look that you want to have, but it also helps to cover up the interior kind of internals of this, which are, like I said, a Technic structure. And so it just makes it really nice and presentable from all angles, even if you're looking, you know, down and up under here. So I really like how that turned out as well. But yeah, here's a look at your tables. And the floor here is 2 plates thick. And if you're worried about any kind of stability issues when this goes onto the next floor, which has the kitchens underneath it, I took that into account, and the floor is plenty well supported, where you can easily play in here, and you won't run into any issues with like wobbliness or anything like that. And you can see here there's studs every 3 studs. There's a stud under here supporting the benches, so you know there's no kind of flexing issues on here. And same goes for the tables. They're nice and rigid too. They have a spine running down the middle of them to keep them nice and rigid, and they're attached with a single stud in here, and there's a reason for that. And let me actually give you a little demo of how to place characters in the scene, and then you'll see why I did it that way. All right, so here we have 3 sizes of Hogwarts student. Of course, we have the first year with the immovable short legs, the third year and up, which have the shorter but still flexible legs, and then an adult minifigure here of Cho Chang. So you can actually place all 3 in here with no problem. So the shorter, the shorter legged ones, you might have a problem if you just drop the figure like that. They just stand on the benches, and that's that's the same way in the official sets. And I think that the height that they come up to, I place her around the other side here, feels really good for a sitting figure. It doesn't bug me that she's actually standing. It looks appropriate. Then we have the medium length ones, and they have a stud underneath there. They have a single stud on their legs, so that's what you're going to use to plug into this bench here. So they sit over the side just a little bit, and again, I think that works pretty well. And the height that they come up to, roughly equivalent to the short legs. And then you have your adult minifigures, which you can place either on the same stud as the one that I just used for the teenage one, or the back stud as well will also work. So you can place those in here. And oh yeah, and let me show you the reason that I created the table to be sitting on a single brick in the center of it is that it has enough room there where you can sit a figure, and the legs can tuck all the way underneath, and they don't get interfered with by the legs of the table. So that was the reason that I kind of inset the support legs here. And each of these tables is pretty easy to pop off because it's only attached with 2 studs, on either side. And that's actually an intentional design feature, because when you're trying to get in here and you're trying to place figures in the back, it's way easier, I find, to just pop off the tables, pose all your figures back there how you want them, and then when you're done, put the table back. And yeah, things will get knocked off of this build a lot. This is a very, because it's a castle, you have all of these little pointy bits, and it's unavoidable. Things do come off, and a lot of times I knock this off, I knock these off, but it's just kind of one of those things that comes with the territory. Things get knocked down all the time, but it's built in such a way that it should be pretty easy to see where those things came from that you knocked down. But yeah, I really like how all of the different sizes of figure can have their hands either on the table or at their sides, and there's absolutely no problem with any of that. And you can really, really set up some very nice, natural looking scenes here with all the students just milling about and getting on with their day. And they don't all feel too repetitive, because you can stagger them. Like here I have Cho sitting on the front stud, so she's set back a little bit relative to Hermione there. And you can kind of offset them that way, and it feels really nice. So yeah, so the figures have the entire run of these plates to sit on, and there's nothing that's gonna get in their way. So I really like that. But yeah, there you go. There is your look at the interior of the Great Hall. And there's just one more thing that I wanted to show you guys, which is the completed look of what the Great Hall will look like with parts 1 and 2 attached. And part 2 is getting its own video. It's coming very, very soon. I'm actually just finalizing the instructions for this right now. But I wanted to give you guys a sense of, if you're going to pull the trigger and purchase this, the parts are going to cost you somewhere in the region of $380, give or take, depending on the sellers that you get. You might get lucky and get it down to $370, or if you have a bunch of parts already from your own build, you may be able to reduce the parts list down and save money that way. But either way, it's a large display piece, and it's, you know, in my opinion, it looks really nice. And if you're a serious Harry Potter fan and a collector, that might be worth it for you. But you might be wondering, what is it going to look like with everything else? And so I just wanted to show you. This is the full look of the Great Hall right here. I'll just spin it around, and you can see here the actual Great Hall that we're just looking at. The floor terminates right here. This opens up, and you can see here the rest that is attached. And like I said, that's coming in its own separate video, so look out for that very soon. And I'll be showing that to you guys, and we'll give you a look at the whole thing, how it all functions together. But yeah, that is the entire Great Hall look. Of course, minus the rockwork that will be sitting underneath here, which will be set number 3 of this phase, which will contain the Chamber of Secrets. So that's going to be way down the line, or maybe not way down the line, but down the line, and, you know, expect the video for part 2 here pretty soon. All right, guys, so that was all that I wanted to show you. Thank you so much again for tuning in. I think that this is a really, really fun project, and if you're a Harry Potter fan like I am, you enjoy getting this for yourself, because yeah, I think it's a really nice conversation starter and display piece. And like I said, Lego went to all the trouble to give us really, really amazing, I mean, dozens and dozens of really incredible looking figures, probably hundreds at this point actually, accessories and all these other supplemental builds. So it's really nice to have a kind of a central thing to be able to put them all together in, and so hopefully this will be that for you guys. All right, so I'm going to stop rambling and get to work finalizing the instructions on this section of the castle, so I can bring that to you guys as well. Hopefully you're staying safe out there, and you guys are having a good 2021 so far, so fingers crossed on that. All right, guys, thank you so much again for watching. I'll see you on the next one, and until then, Mischief managed.